I'm going to talk about the International Booker Prize long list, which was just recently announced. This is my favorite literary prize, and I have tried to complete the full long list in the past, but have never succeeded. But I just love it. I just love seeing what's on there, and I'm really happy with the long list this year. I think it's got a good blend of well known books, and it's like bridging the gap between reading diversely and international literature. I think a lot of these books people probably have heard of, and that's what makes it interesting and what makes it good. So, of the 13 books that were announced on the long list, there are 11 different languages, and these are coming from 12 different countries. The one that doubles up is South Korea, and the languages that are doubled up are Spanish and Korean. So, I'm just going to go quickly through the long list, and I don't own all the books, so I can't hold them up. So I'll try and insert pictures for the ones I don't own, which is most of them. First up from Mexico, we have Paradise. This is translated from the Spanish by Sophie Hughes. People might know Miranda Machetta from her other book, Hurricane Season. I believe that was shortlisted a couple of years ago on the International Booker Prize, and this is her new book. I just picked this up yesterday, so I'm really excited to read this one. From Japan, we have Heaven by Miko Kawakami. She's the woman that wrote Breast and Eggs, and this is her latest book. She has a new one coming out soon. This is translated by Sam Bennett and David Boyd, and this is basically a story of 14-year-olds misfits in school. First book from Korea is Love in the Big City by Sang Yong Pak, and that's translated by Anit Kaur. This is one of the books that I'm really looking forward to getting. I really want to get a hold of. This is one of three books from Tilted Axis Press, and it's about late night life in Seoul. Next, we have another Tilted Axis Press book. This is Happy Story Mostly by Norman Erickson Pararubu, and this is translated by Tiffany Sayo. This is an Indonesian book. It's like an alternate reality, and it's like exploring heteronormative world and just subverting that. So that's really exciting. For those who don't know, Tilted Axis Press is one of those non-profit small presses. I believe Deborah Smith helped create this small press, and she's had been really involved. It really focuses on Asian literature. Next, we have my favorite book so far of the year, and that's Eleanor Knows by Claudia Pinheiro, and this is translated by Francis Riddle. I really love this book. I think it was amazing, and I highly recommend anyone that gets a chance to read it. Next, we have The Book of Mother by Marlene Harassman, and this is translated by Leslie Shamhai. This is a French book, and it's about a daughter trying to love her mother, but her mother's gone through some horrific trauma. Then from Israel, we have More Than I Love My Life by David Grossman, and this is translated by Jessica Cohen. David Grossman has won the International Booker Prize before with his book A Horse Walks Into a Bar. I didn't really like that book, but I'm interested to check this one out. This is a story about a daughter coming home and visiting her family and how that plays out. Next is Phenometypes by Paulo Scott, and this is translated by Daniel Hain, and this is a book from Brazil. It really follows two very different brothers and their life and looking at the heart and the institute and how the world raised them. Next, we have A New Name, Septology Volume 6 and 7, and this is by John Forsey and translated by Damien Shears. This is book 3 or book 6 and 7 if you want to count in this series, so I'm probably not going to read it. I did attempt to read the first book, but I DNF'd it. It wasn't really for me. Then we have After the Sun by Jonas Erica, and this is translated by Sherilyn Helberg. This is a weird, hyper-realistic, fantastical novel. I'm not sure what to make of it. It's meant to be a little grotesque, and that did pique my interest, but I'm not really into fantasy, so I don't know if I'll be reading this. The author is from Denmark. The second biggest book in the list is Tomb of Sand, and this is by Gurchanjali Shir, translated by Daisy Rockwell. This is the first time a Hindi book has actually been nominated, so that's really interesting. It's about an elderly woman getting a new lease on life after her husband dies. The longest book on the list is The Books of Jacob by Olga Tokarczuk, and this is translated from the Polish by Jennifer Croft. It's almost 1,000 pages, and I'm on page 100, so I'm almost finished. Page one is the final page of the book. I'm really enjoying it, but I don't think it's going to be for everyone. I will review it soon. Last book is from South Korea as well, Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, and this is translated by Anton Her, and this is a real gender bending short story collection. I really want to read it. I see a lot of people talking about it, and it definitely sounds right up my alley. So that's the entire list. I think there was 7 of the 13 were female writers and 8 female translators. I didn't count where all the books came from. I think it sounds like there's a lot of Asian literature on the list, which is really good. Some South American and a little bit of Europe, which is obviously going to be the case for most of these long lists. I don't believe there's anything from Africa, which is a little bit disappointing, but I could be wrong about that. Let me know what you've read from the list and what you think of the list. I am definitely excited to hear more opinions about it.